Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from Columbus, Ohio at the MLG Arena, kicking off the MLG Advanced Warfare Pro League Season 1 Championship. I'm Chris Puckett, joined by Benson up at the desk, and this pregame show is brought to you by The Lazarus Effect.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Honestly, Season 1, it feels like everything just started yesterday. I can't believe we're already here at the season finals in Columbus. Time has flown so fast, Chris.
It's crazy. All of our teams have played 44 matches, the top 8 getting here. Let's get right into the tournament format. For those of you who haven't been following the Pro League Season 1, we've invited 12 of the country's best teams to compete in a regular season that led up to this championship match. We have 8 of those 12 teams. The top 8 will be competing in a double elimination bracket. All of the matches in the tournament will be best of 5.
And of course, it's worth mentioning these guys playing for some big money as well, Chris. $75,000 on the line, and as well, a ton of pro points. See, first place walking away with $30,000 and 25,000 pro points. That's just massive.
You know, Optic Gaming, kind of the heavy favorite after the regular season. They're also the pro points leader. So
just
this tournament, a massive victory for everyone who's trying to chase them for that #1 seed. But let's talk a little bit about the regular season standings, Ben. As we discussed, all of these teams playing each other at least 4 times. Here's a look at the bottom half. We had Optic Nation, who at the start of the season, everyone was really excited. Karma and TP putting together a roster with Proofy, had Embos at the start, brought on Swanee mid-season, but no matter what they did, it didn't go their way. 12-32, a shocking, terrible record for them. They fell just short. Same thing with Elevate, killing Miracles, teaming with Spacely, just couldn't get it going.
It doesn't really make any sense. You look at the quality that Optic Nation had to start, you know. You thought this was definitely going to be a team that would have made the top 8, but didn't do so. Neither did Elevate, as you said. Then Automatic Reload, sitting in 10th place overall, 19-25. Big argument to say, you know, if they'd have moved into that team house a week earlier, could they have potentially made it into that top 8? Maybe. I and myself and Mr. X, we definitely think so. I know you said there's definitely potential for that. And then, of course, the higher up you go, you get to Justice, who was at 9th place.
What was crazy for me was just seeing how 7 and 10 were so close in that final week. Justice making a huge blunder. They suffered 2 disqualifications in their last day of gaming. That opened the doors for Rise Nation, who snuck in at 20 and 24. So Rise, they locked in their #8 seed. Back-to-back seasonal championship visits for them. And Envy, though, was kind of a big shocker. We expected them. They won the previous season for Ghost at the end of last season. Now coming in with just the 7th seed, 20 and 24. And what was even shocking, they had a worse map win ratio than even Rise.
Yeah, that's definitely shocking. You know, ever since that trade, they've kind of kept themselves to themselves, haven't even really been streaming that much. That's been the really big thing, keeping themselves to themselves. But looking at the top side of the standings, Chris, #1, Optic Gaming. What can you say about this squad? 38-6 overall, a 72% map win ratio. Absolutely absurd.
Yeah, last year we saw Complexity put up, I believe it was 31 map wins.
And we thought that was match huge wins at the time.
Optic Gaming, 38 of 44, only 6 losses. Some of those losses coming when they didn't have their full starting lineup. But what really shocks me is their map win rate. On or off host, it didn't matter. They won 72% of the time, and you can see the difference. Denial, who's #2, only 60%, and that drops all the way down to 47 with you see TK there at the bottom.
Denial I've been really impressed with, though, throughout the season, especially after the trade that they made. You know, coming in 29 and 15, these guys look so good. They're definitely contenders here at the Season 1 final. And then, of course, Prophecy sitting in 3rd. 4th place is going to be FaZe. 5th place, though, Aware Gaming. This is a team I think everyone should kind of keep their eyes out for. I don't want to call them a dark horse necessarily, because they obviously finished in 4th. That's a good placement. But could they be that team that kind of comes through?
It's scary. When you look at it on paper, you know, you got the 3 young guys, Tej playing with Huke and Happy, and then Accuracy, you know, really the only guy over 18 eligible for Call of Duty Championship. So gonna be really exciting to see them facing off. They're gonna play in our first match tonight. Want to see what they can do, because they've made it to a finals, at least TJ and Huke have. Can they do it again?
They look so good. They're such talented individuals that, you know, see them all playing on that same team now is really exciting. And as I said, you know, this is definitely a team that you should keep your eyes out for. And of course, we should mention TK as well.
Yes,
coming through. I mean, they started the season just awfully. Like, it was really bad. Then they moved into Team House. They managed to start getting those wins rolling. And they went from, I think it was Stone Dead last in the leaderboard to 5th place in the space of a week.
And I think the other squad, you know, Prophecy, I was really high on them on the bracket show. Really like what we saw out of Legal and Fears. But FaZe, this is the squad that has been put together for one reason and one reason alone, and that is to beat Optic Gaming to become the best team in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Don't know what's going to happen quite yet. We're going to get a chance to see that roster playing together for the first time live here in Columbus, Ohio. Really excited to get it going. To talk a little bit more in depth about the rosters, let's send it over to our analyst desk. We got Maven and Mr. X.
All right, welcome as we continue on here with the Lazarus Effect pregame show starring Olivia Wilde. I'm joined by Mr. X. All right, so now that we are at the more handsome of the two desks, we're going to kick things off. We're going to go through the 1 through 8 spots here for the weekend. Let's kick things off with the Rise, Matt.
Yeah, so Rise Nation's going to be made up of Chino, Diabolic, Sender, and Pac-Man. You know, when we were in Orlando, a lot of players were saying Chino probably the strongest hardpoint player in the game. Definitely going to look for him this weekend and have a very good event.
Yeah, and I've got stats up on the side for these guys, just taking a look through. And Chino's kind of taking over that main Slayer role. He had a 1.17 S&D KD throughout Season 1, led in hardpoint, led in uplink as well, I believe, for this squad. You know, this year we saw Pac-Man finally break up with the duo. He was with Wheats for, what, 2-3 years, something like that,
Yeah, he was with Wheats forever.
And I love this squad because we have Cinder, Diabolic, and Chino, all guys that started to make a name for themselves towards the end of Ghost, start to really jump into the top echelon of players, and here we see them competing.
And, you know, Pac-Man, he's going to be their OBJ player, not going to put up a ton of kills. Game leader, definitely going to make all the right decisions, be around the objective, making lots of nice plays around the objective.
All right, well, let's hop to number 7, and that is going to be Team Envious. Now, taking a look at this, for me, the big thing for this team, and we can talk all we want about league performance, matchups, stats, everything through Season 1, but it all came down to the trade for me, the before and after. What has gone right with this trade and what has gone wrong, Matt?
So, I mean, obviously they acquire Zuma and Saints from Denal, 2 great players, but they play at a different play style and speed than the other 2 players of Envy. So they like to play at a lot of, you know, high speed, you know, really aggressive games, and Merc and Nameless don't really play like that. So they have to adjust their play style evenly to, you know, work together.
Yeah, Merc known to be one of the more cerebral players, one of the best objective players of all time. Looking back to Ghost, Nameless a little bit up and down, but coming into Advanced Warfare, Saints and Zuma were, in my opinion, 2 of what, the top 5 to 8 Slayers, really, in the previous title. In this game, Saints for me is, well, without question, players when it comes to the slaying department across the past several titles.
He's never really had a bad event. I mean, we were talking about it before.
Anaheim maybe last year was a little...
But other than that, I mean, he is the most consistent player, one of the most consistent players on LAN. I believe all last year didn't have one event he went negative. So definitely looking for him to play well this weekend. I think S&D is going to be a huge thing for that Envious team. They can get on the same page and win those S&Ds. Their respawn game is going to be very strong this weekend.
Yeah, well, that's what's been fun watching with Advanced Warfare. Obviously, we're, what, 3 to 4 months into it now, and teams, I feel, are still sort of figuring out how to play S&D in this game, and some have definitely been a lot stronger than others, and we do need to see if Envy can step it up here for this one. But next, we are going to kick it over to Team Caliber. So they come in here in the 6th spot. We'll take a look through the roster. We've got Sharp, Goonjar, Looney, in theory. The big change for them, at least coming into this title, was going to be Looney, who's turned into the primary Slayer for this team. Give me your thoughts, Matt.
I mean, Looney took a huge gamble, right? At the beginning of Advanced Warfare, he was on Rise. They were already qualified. He left Rise to join TK, and they had to requalify at the Columbus Open. They did, and Looney is a huge part of that. He's a great Slayer on this game. You know, plays super aggressive. Sharp, I think, is actually playing some of the best Call of Duty he's played that I can recently remember, you know, since Black Ops 2. He was very good then. I think
he has actual internet now. He's not on a farm in Kentucky or whatever.
I think you look at Goon to really, you know, show up this weekend, have a good weekend. You know, sometimes we see him drop 40s, then there are other times we see him drop 20. You're gonna need that 40 bomb Goon consistently.
I was talking, you know, leaving the event, talking to a lot of players about their thoughts about teams and players, and Goon was one that was brought up because it seems like in scrims or in the season, he either is that guy that's going to come in and drop like a 47 and 20, or he's going to drop at 18 and 35. There's not really. You have a lot of players in this game.
Between.
Yeah, there's not like that consistent like 34 and 30 guy. Like you're not going to really get that out of Goon typically. But like you said, the big thing for them in Season 1 was the addition of the team house. Huge for Sharp, obviously, who's been considered one of the worst online players, you would say. A lot of that due to connection. And Goon, I mean, with the way he plays with an AR, he's really relies on
one of the things that I'm going to be
shots.
looking for with this team throughout this weekend is, you know, a lot of teams, they'll go into the team house and they can, you know, they have that great internet. They can do some things that you usually couldn't do on your other connection. It changes your play style a little bit. So they've been playing very aggressive online. Usually we see TK, they play a little bit slower, a little bit more conservative a game. They bring that aggression on LAN. How does it work? Is it going to work the same way it's been working online? Because they've been playing great.
Well, think back to even the first Columbus event coming in. I think it was, you know, Optic was really the primary team that was at a team house. They were rolling online, winning every 5K. They didn't lose a hard point, it seemed, online. They came in and were getting rocked on Friday because it's just so much difference when you transfer. The kills you're going to get at a team house are not the same on land.
Right. It's always great to play online the same way you would play on land, not to adjust your play style.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, obviously, you know, TK, they were at the bottom, like Ben said. To get back in, they needed a very good run. And I think that, you know, they maybe changed their play style a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how that adjusts over to land.
All right, well, next, we are going to shoot things over to Aware and take a look at the young guns.
Yes.
This is going to be the young talent. I mean, similar to what are you looking at here? Because you were the first one. We have a lot of players that came from Stunner.
Stunner top
you were
8.
the first one with the Stunner top 8. They ended up getting second in Orlando. I've had them. I've been thinking about them possibly in that 2-3 spot. I wouldn't be shocked.
Since the trade deadline, them and Denial have been the 2 hottest teams, obviously, under Optic Gaming. Optic Gaming's run is just ridiculous. Happy for me is going to be their breakout player this weekend. A lot of players at the beginning of Season 1. Happy, we were talking about him a lot. You know, Aware got off to a really hot start. Then they went into a little bit of a lull period. You know, Sender went over to Rise. Didn't really have, you know, too much to talk about there. But Happy has really, you know, kept his game consistent the entire season. At Orlando, put up a 1.17 on land. That's a phenomenal KD. Pair that with Hugh and TJ Haley, who obviously had great events. They got second. This team can make some noise.
Well, if you picked your 3 best young players and wanted to put them on a roster, this is it without question. I mean, Hugh pretty much from day one, like I didn't really hear about him much at all before Advanced Warfare. It was like a weekend and everyone's freaking out. Hugh, he's destroying me online. And how quickly is that transition to life?
I remember the first 2K, I think he dropped 50 against Optic Nation, and everyone instantly knew who he was. Yeah, everyone instantly knew who he was. Yeah. This team, they can go very far in this tournament. I'm going to be looking, though, you know, nerves definitely plays a part of it. You know, a top 8 team invitational. The best teams are here.
Well,
nobody else. It's going to be
they're
interesting.
Playing what? It's going to be FaZe, which is, you have Enable, who's been competing in competitive FPS since like the early 90s. You have Aches, who's the winningest player of all time.
Yeah.
Haggy, one of the greatest Call of Duty players ever. Like the roster is so stacked when it comes to just the veteran ability of these guys going against the young guns. So that will be very, very interesting. But let's keep things going here as we are. We just talked about the matchup. We're going to be going over to FaZe. Now, you and I have pretty similar views, I think, on what we can expect. They're getting first or they're getting 8th for me.
This team, I know, obviously, Aches, Enable, Slasher, Parasite, just tons of personality. Yeah. This team can either go really well or it can go south fast. And the thing that's very scary about this team, if you're an opponent, is when they are clicking, they don't have a player who's weak on any game mode. This is a team that across the board is strong in every game mode. Parasite and Slash are 2 of the best S&D players in Advanced Warfare.
Talent-wise, I would say, like person for person, the strongest team right now.
Yeah, without
question, just with skill. But then you look at all the different storylines. You have, you know, Slasher and Aches were bumping heads after Orlando, like before Orlando, after Orlando. They stuck it out. We were worried about the Aches Parasite. You know, you got 2 of the strongest personalities in all of Call of Duty that are going to be teaming up now. Enable, a guy that is used to being a leader in Halo, starting to develop into that here in Call of Duty, but still kind of the new guy to a degree when it comes to COD. So there's a lot of interesting stuff with this. But for me, it's, do we get the Aches from Columbus, cuts his thumb, still comes fired up, leads the team, and they end up winning it? Or do we have the Aches that seem disinterested in Orlando, and they got, what, top 12 or top 15, whatever it was?
Right. You never know. I mean, if Aches shows up, he's one of the most talented players in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, when he feels like it and he's motivated, it's just a show to watch. I mean, the guy can do everything. You know, OBJ, Slayer department, just brings it all. I think you're going to be looking for the first map of the whole event is going to set the pace for this team. Well, they lose that first map.
Because this is the one I think we talked about. It's, I believe, looking at it, it is Aware's, the first Solar Hardpoint, I believe.
Yep.
It's Aware's best hardpoint, FaZe's worst. So that is going to be a big, big one to watch out for. Now, taking a look, I want to jump down, just get stats pulled up here, but we're going to go through to Prophecy is going to be the next roster we're going to take a look at. Now, obviously, they've gone through some changes. We just talked about the fact that Parasite is on FaZe. This is going to be Ricky, Imbos, who replaced Parasite, Legal, and Fears. Tell me a little bit about this roster, Matt.
I like this team a lot. You know, after Parasite left for FaZe, you kind of thought this team was going to drop down the rankings, but they've been playing extremely well with Bose. You know, Bose, since leaving Optic Nation, he's had good runs in the 2Ks, the 5Ks.
Yeah, he was kind of the great underdog story, you know, with Synergy. He came in and just performed so well. They made that run into the top 6, and then now he's on Prophecy, who was, what, top 2, top 3 at Columbus, and they've continued to be great. I didn't know what to expect from them.
And I think Ricky's a very underrated player. You know, in the previous Call of Duty titles, everyone looked at him as a statue AR type of player. Yeah. But in this game, he's running that ASM1. He's doing everything. He's around the objective. I mean, we watched the other day on Ascent. He had some of the best flag runs I've ever seen. But Legal and Fears also 2 of their Slayers. You're going to look for them to really step it up this weekend. You know, in S&D especially, they're very strong in uplink, pretty strong in hardpoint. S&D is the game mode that they're really going to need to bring.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic to watch and see how this plays out. I haven't had the opportunity to see these four on land since, unfortunately, I missed out at Orlando. But let's keep things moving forward. Now we have Denial. This is going to be the other half of that trade with Envy. You know, when you look at it, it definitely seems like Denial is the team that won out in that one. It's going to be Clayster, Attach, JCap, and Replays. They've looked so strong. The record ended up being, what were they, 34-20 or sorry, whatever it ended up being. That was, I mean, they were hot before. They make the trade and kept going, whereas Envy kind of
tailed off a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I think Clay is huge for this team, brings that veteran leadership, you know, that in-game knowledge that they need. Attaches the player that has really changed since that trade. It's kind of, they've let him out of his box, so to speak, and just kind of let him roam, do what he wants. I think when they had Saints and Zuma, that Saints and Zuma are such good slayers that Attach ended up kind of playing almost like a support role with Replays, but that's not really what he can do as a player. He should be a slayer that just roams around. He's gone back to that role, and he's been playing phenomenal.
Yeah, he didn't seem like when he first started really coming onto the land scene, because obviously he was just known as the online kid for so long. Right. He didn't really seem too comfortable outside of S&Ds, but now it seems that he's really kicking on all cylinders, whether it's Respawn, S&D, he's putting up just incredible numbers. And this is one of the teams, you know, when we were talking about who we thought could actually win the event. I mean, Optic being 38-6, having won the last event, it's kind of hard to argue they're not the favorite, but Denial is definitely one of those that we think can certainly take this one.
I think Replays is also a very underrated player for Denial. Yeah. He's an OBJ player, but he puts up very nice kills in the Slayer department, so definitely look for Replays to have a good weekend. I think Cap is an important player as well. So if Cap shows up and plays the way he's been playing online, this team is going to go very far.
Yeah, all right, so last but not least, we will have Optic Gaming. They finished #1 with the absurd record of, what was it, 38-6.
38-6.
Which is just unheard of.
Just silly to say.
It really is. It doesn't. Envy had that incredible Season 3 run. I can't remember how they finished, but they blew everyone away, but nothing like this. And we got the roster there. You have Nade Shot, Crim6, Scump, and Formal. What can you say? I mean, Scump MVP.
When you look at the stats,
Season 1.
Scump is he's in
Slayer
first in every category.
Yeah, like I think it's Uplink, Hardpoint, S&D. He had the #1 KD and pretty much everything. It's just absolutely wild.
I think Formal's a huge role for this team, though. A huge part of this team. As a Bal player, I think he's probably the best Bal in the game.
He has the steadiest shot, I think, really, of anyone. Swanee, I thought, had a really steady Bal, but Formal is just he's mean with it.
Formal can play a little bit more aggressive on the map than Swanee can, so he's able to push a little bit more than Swanee. Swanee played generally pretty far back, but he opens up those lanes for Scump and Crim to be so aggressive on the map. When those players get in your face, there's really absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and it's been good to listen to. One of the complaints I had, one of the downsides for Optic, is we were starting out was really, they had the leadership. Crim was your quote-unquote vocal leader. He was the one running the show. But to a degree with them, no one was really willing to take blame. You'd hear them get into arguments during scrims, and they'd say, like, oh, you did this wrong. Oh, this was a mistake. And they would be like, oh, no, like, you did this, you did that. Like, no one was willing to take blame. And I think over the past couple of months, they've gotten much better of that, and the results just keep on showing it.
Right, I think for them to play well this weekend, S&D is huge. If they win their S&Ds, they'll run through people this weekend. I think S&D, though, they're going to have to, bring it a little bit better. They've been a little bit off in S&D lately. Watching them, they're going to have to really play strong S&D this weekend.
All right, fantastic stuff. I haven't been here since Columbus. It's fantastic to be back with you, Matt. I hope you're excited. It's going to be a fantastic week of Advanced Warfare. We're going to throw it back up to Puckett and Benson, who are going to be bringing you through the bracket.
All right, thank you, guys. Let's take a peek of that bracket. Of course, we're kicking it off with all 8 teams in our winners bracket. We have it pre-seeded. Optic Gaming, #1, is going to be facing off against Rise Nation. Now, Ben, I know we were talking about on the bracket show, we didn't know what the maps were going to be. Now you know a little bit more information about that. How are you feeling for Rise Nation coming into this best of 5?
It's not good, Chris. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Hardpoint Solar first map, Optic Gaming should cruise through that. They've made it look so easy all throughout Season 1. They're currently 9-2.
9-2?
Yeah, I mean, they're just so dominant at Hardpoint. I don't think Rise realistically have any chance of winning that. If they do, that's a huge shock, massive shock. But then we look at the Search and Destroys, and this is something which, everyone kind of perceives Optic Gaming to not be their strongest game type right now, and that's definitely something that Rise need to try and take. It's going to be a Search and Destroy Biolab. I think Rise definitely have a chance of taking that. That's not beyond any realm of imagination. But then going into the other 2 respawns, I mean, Uplink Detroit and then CTF Ascend, I can't see it happening for Rise, I'm sorry. I honestly think Optic Gaming will 3-0, but it wouldn't be the biggest shock if Rise were to pick up at the S&D.
Pac-Man's been talking smack all over Twitter last night, trying to get an Optic's head. We'll see what they can do about that.
I like it. I respect it.
But, I mean, 1 versus 8. Number one's obviously the clear favorite.
Right.
Optic Gaming should be able to make that through. Otherwise, we'll see a major upset. Our next match, though, is going to be, of course, FaZe and Aware. We're going to see number 4 versus number 5. This is the closest when it comes to seeds. In fact, if you look at their overall KDs from Season 1, Aware is at a 1.00 as a team. FaZe, 0.99. Can't get much closer when it comes to stats. When you compare the players, each team has fantastic slaying duos. They also have teammates who will get the objective done. On the bracket show, I said this is going to Game 5. Who do you think comes out?
Honestly, I think FaZe should pick this one up probably in a Game 5. That first hardpoint, no, I can't see it going any other way than under Aware. I mean, this is FaZe's worst hardpoint, 18% win ratio in the league. I mean, that's concerning. I mean, I know it's online and you can't take these stats too seriously, but at the same time, when a team is losing a map that many times, something's going on.
Let's look at Prophecy Team Caliber. This one we were split 50-50 on the bracket show. Team and I went Prof, you and Matt went TK here.
I still feel strong about that. I really do, and I'm kind of a TK curse, that's for sure, but I really think TK can actually take down Prof.
So this is where TK loses, to stay consistent. Every time Ben says TK is going to do something, the opposite happens.
Yeah, it's not been a good run with my predictions with TK, but I honestly, looking at the maps, I think TK come out on top.
And then, of course, we have Denial versus Team Envious. These teams trading players with each other at the end of the season. Lots of drama starting there. We're going to find out who got the better end of the trade. So far, according to our regular season statistics, it's been Denial who comes in with the number 2 seed. Envy all the way at the bottom at number 7.
And every time these two have played each other in the COD League, Denial's won. They're 4-0 against head-to-head.
Wow.
Crazy.
It's going to be interesting. We got to talk about the schedule of when these matches are happening. Of course, all of our Friday night matches are from Winners Bracket Round 1, and we're kicking things off at 6 o'clock with FaZe versus Aware, that 4 versus 5. The 7 o'clock match, Prophecy versus Team Caliber, and then later in the evening, we're going to see Optic Gaming for the first time this weekend.
Yeah, they're going to be going up against Ryzen at 10 p.m. to close out the evening. Arguably the best game of the night, Denial versus Envy. Chris, I cannot wait for that game.
We should mention tomorrow and Sunday's broadcast are going to kick off at noon Eastern here. You can tune in from around the world, though, on all of our sources. The MLG.TV platform is everywhere. We have it on your Xbox 360, your Xbox Live. Of course, you can find it on Xbox One through the MLG apps. Then we got it
you covered
on your mobile, your tablet, and of course your home PC. So watch it wherever you're going this weekend. Take the games with you because really this is going to be a phenomenal tournament and a really huge preview of what I think we're going to see for most of these teams coming into the North American Regional Finals in just 2 weeks.
It's all happening so quick. This is massive practice for a lot of these teams. We may see them try out some unconventional strategies, knowing that they have regionals coming up in 2 weeks' time. That wouldn't surprise me, but I think a lot of teams as well playing for some pride here.
It's going to be insane. Can't wait to see what's going to happen. Will Optic Gaming be able to stay on top as the number 1 seed in the top dogs of AW, or will we see them get dethroned this weekend? FaZe, they put together a roster to do it. Aware also looking like a force. We're going to see both of those teams on our main stage coming up here in just a little bit. And right now, down on the floor, we have Mr. X with a player from each team.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Accuracy from Aware and Aches from FaZe. First, Accuracy, this is your first top 8 placing, pretty much a guaranteed top 8. So, coming in, any nerves?
Not feeling good, really confident in my team.
Nice. And then Aches, coming in, you guys made a ton of roster changes. Obviously, Aches, Enable and Parasite coming over to FaZe. How has the adjustment period gone with that?
I think we've gone pretty good. I mean, we're dealing with the same online thing that we dealt with on EG for a while with the 2 West, 2 East. So, I mean, it gets hectic at times, but I mean, I think on LAN we'll really shine.
And then Accuracy, you guys got Huke and TJ Haley, 2 huge midseason additions. Tell me what each one of those brings to the team.
Basically just dominant slayers. Makes my job easy. Get in the hill, get a kill, we win.
Right, and then I know, obviously, Parasite, you and him obviously bump heads sometimes. What's kind of been the adjustment there? Have you kind of given up some of the leadership role to him?
No, I mean, I think we just kind of came to a conclusion that, like, hey, we're both here to win. So, I mean, he does his thing, I do mine, and I mean, we work pretty well together, especially around Enable and Slasher Slaying, definitely.
And then, Enable, coming over from Halo, have you had to coach him a little bit at all? Or, how has he adjusted to Advanced Warfare? Obviously, dealing with Crim in the same type of situation.
No, I kind of just gave him the same treatment I gave Crim 2 years ago, so it wasn't too hard of an adjustment.
And then Accuracy, how do you guys feel coming to this event? What's your strongest game modes? What do you feel like you're going to excel, especially in this series against FaZe?
I think our best game mode's Hardpoint. I think that's what we're dominant at because we just have 3 young God Slayers. And S&D we're really good at too, so I'm really confident in those.
And then obviously, FaZe, if you guys win this series, you guys would match up obviously against Optic Gaming if they beat Rise. Are you motivated for that type of matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now we're currently 2-0 in series against Optic on LAN. So, I mean, we definitely want to get another rematch against them in the semifinals. So, I hope to see them tomorrow.
All right, and that's going to be all for the Lazarus pregame show. Right after this, we're going to have the first series. It's going to be FaZe versus Aware.